So, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I hope you are doing well on the second conducting session on the teacher training and level to discuss in our core and learning journey in important and the help of argument personal professional and this discussion awareness improve and expanding knowledge and the well better understanding of the different topic continue in this journey and today we are going to discuss other interesting informative and topic the today is our topic tax evasion. So let's move towards the topic and give and the details and with GPT and Q conversation. Explore information, ask different questions, and make us conservation and more unique and insightful. We kindly request to stay unused us in obsession. You can fully understand a topic gain maximum knowledge and benefit from today's session. So start. Topic discussion. Hello, ChatGPT. How are
Hey, I'm doing. I'm glad you're here. If you have a topic you'd like to dive into or just want to bounce around some ideas, I'm all ears.
So ChatGPT today my topic text evasion. So this topic related I ask some question. Before explain and this topic.
Of course, I'd love to help with that. So before we get into your questions, let me give you a quick overview. Tax evasion is basically the illegal act of not paying taxes that are owed to the government. It can take many forms, from underreporting income, hiding money in offshore accounts, to using shell companies. And it's a huge issue globally because it reduces government revenue, which impacts public services. So with that in mind, go ahead and ask me your questions.
Okay, so my first question, how does tax evasion change a country economy?
That's a really important one. So tax evasion basically drains a country of crucial revenue. When businesses or individuals avoid paying taxes, the government has fewer funds to invest in infrastructure, education, healthcare, the very things that drive long-term growth. This often widens inequality because public services suffer. And as a result, overall economic growth slows, public debt can rise, and the government might have to raise taxes on the compliant citizens or businesses just to compensate. So it's a real drag on overall prosperity.
Okay, so my second question, can tax evasion become of the biggest obstacle in national development?
Absolutely, it can. When a significant portion of the population or large corporations evade taxes, the government simply can't collect enough revenue to fund critical initiatives. This shortfall means less investment in infrastructure, technology, education, and innovation, all of which are essential for sustainable growth. Without those investments, productivity stagnates, inequality deepens, and sometimes it even fuels political instability. In short, tax evasion quietly erodes the bedrock of national development.
Okay. So, what modern method of litigators use of tax evasion?
That's a great question. There's actually a wide range of modern methods. For instance, people often hide money in offshore accounts or use shell companies and tax havens where ownership is obscured. Digital currencies and cryptocurrency have also become tools for evasion because they're harder to trace. In addition, some sophisticated individuals manipulate transfer pricing, basically shifting profits between subsidiaries in different countries to minimize tax liability. So it's a constantly evolving landscape, especially with tech making it easier to hide wealth.
Okay, so does a weak tax system encourage tax evasion?
Yes, it really does. When a tax system is weak, meaning it's complicated, lacks transparency, or isn't enforced consistently, people and businesses feel like they can get away with it. If tax laws are too complex, and loopholes might emerge. And if enforcement is lax, meaning where evasion is almost normalized, and it becomes harder for honest taxpayers to compete.
What is the relationship between tax evasion and corruption?
That's a really crucial connection. Tax evasion and corruption often feed into each other. Corruption can create an environment where tax evasion is either overlooked or actively facilitated, like when tax officials are bribed or when companies pay off politicians to avoid scrutiny. At the same time, when people see others getting away with both tax evasion and corruption, it erodes trust in institutions. In short, tax evasion is often a tool of corruption, and corruption in turn makes it easier for tax evasion to thrive.
So, okay, my next question: does tax evasion place an extra burden on poor people?
Yes, it definitely does. When taxes go unpaid by wealthy individuals or big corporations, the burden doesn't just disappear, it shifts. The government, lacking revenue, often has to compensate by both raising indirect taxes, like sales taxes, or cutting public services. Since poor households spend a larger portion of their income on these basic goods, they end up paying a bigger share of their earnings in taxes. So while the rich exploit loopholes, the poor effectively end up subsidizing them.
बच्चे के कॉन्सेप्ट पहले क्लियर करना होता है बच्चों को वो समझाना पड़ता है जो बच्चा चाह रहा है लेकिन पॉजिटिव वे
Okay, so my next question: does a weak tax system encourage and tax evasion?
Yes, absolutely. When a tax system is weak, for example, if it's overly complex, lacks clear regulations, or suffers from poor enforcement, people see it as easier to exploit. If audits are rare, penalties are mild, or the rules are inconsistent, then evasion seems risk-free. So a weak system doesn't just fail to collect revenue, it creates a real incentive for people to dodge taxes. In this way, weak tax systems are a breeding ground for evasion.
लेकिन मैं तो आपसे ये कहूँगा कि आप एक बच्चे को एडमिशन कराएं हमारे
You're
यहाँ ये होता है कि हम टीचर वालिदैन को भी बुलाते हैं क्लास में ठीक है ना
बिल्कुल
हम
ठीक है। अगर आपको मजीद सवालात या किसी और पहलू पर बात करनी हो तो मैं हाजिर हूँ। आप बिला झिझक बताएं।
रुकिए आप मेरी बात सुनिए सुनिए सर मैं आपको ऑनलाइन अकेडमी ऑनलाइन जो स्टडी है उसका नंबर सेंड करता हूँ आप उससे बात करें तुमने बनाया कुत्तों ने बजा दिया फ्रेंचाइज मैं फ्रेंचाइज को डील करता हूँ
बिल्कुल मैं समझ गया। अगर आपको किसी और मौजू पर या किसी और जाविये से बात करनी हो तो मुझे बताएं। मैं पूरी कोशिश करूंगा कि आपके सवालात को अच्छी तरह समझकर तफसील से जवाब दूं।
ठीक है अच्छा मैं आपको बताना चाह रहा हूँ कि हमारी मेरा नाम सुधीर है सर दौलत होती है सर दौलत होती है जो हमारे गवर्नमेंट अकेडमी के हेड ठीक है ना मेरा नाम सुधीर है
बिल्कुल आप मुझे वो तफसीलात बता दें जो आपको शामिल करनी है जैसे कि आप नाम डेट या कोई और खास
So my next question: what do government fail and to support tax evasion?
That's a really important question. Governments often fail to curb tax evasion for a few reasons. Sometimes the tax laws themselves are outdated or overly complex, making them hard to enforce. Other times there's a lack of resources, like not having enough auditors or personnel to keep up. Political influence can also play a role. When powerful groups evade taxes and avoid accountability, it's harder for the government to act. Plus, sometimes there's a lack of political will. Governments might not prioritize enforcement if tax evasion is seen as a victimless crime, or if they fear losing political support.
So how do we education in healthcare and sector and suffer because of tax evasion?
Yeah, that's a big impact. When tax revenue is lost through evasion, the government simply has less money to spend on public services. In education, this often means fewer teachers, deteriorating school infrastructure, and fewer resources like textbooks or technology. In healthcare, it can lead to understaffed hospitals, fewer public health programs, and longer wait times. Essentially, tax evasion starves these sectors so they can't fully serve the public, especially the most vulnerable communities who rely on them the most.
Okay. So how tax evasion is becoming harder to control in digital economy?
That's a really key point. In a digital economy, a lot of transactions happen online, across borders, and in decentralized ways. Think cryptocurrencies, digital wallets, and global e-commerce. This anonymity and speed make it really hard for tax authorities to track income, especially when people use international platforms or hide assets offshore. Moreover, traditional auditing tools aren't always equipped to handle these digital trails. So tax authorities often struggle to keep up with these fast-moving borderless transactions.
Okay. Why are a government developed project affect tax evasion?
Absolutely. When a government is investing in large scale development projects, like building infrastructure, hospitals, or schools, it relies heavily on tax revenue. When tax evasion siphons off funds, it reduces the budget available for these projects. This can delay or even cancel critical public works, which means the population, especially poorer communities, miss out on vital services. Over time, this undermines public trust and slows development progress.
Okay, why are can strict punishment effectively stop and tax evasion is while the public awareness against tax evasion is important.
That's a great pair of questions. Stricter punishments can indeed act as a deterrent, especially if penalties are severe enough to outweigh the potential gains. But they have to be paired with an effective enforcement mechanism. Otherwise, people just weigh the risks and continue evading. At the same time, public awareness is crucial because when people understand the broader impact, how tax evasion steals from public services, they're more likely to support crackdowns and demand accountability. In short, both strong penalties and a well informed public create a culture where tax evasion risks outweigh the benefits.
Okay, are a small business more effective than a large corporation by tax evasion?
That's a really insightful question. Generally, smaller businesses tend to be more vulnerable because they often lack the resources to navigate complex tax rules or afford sophisticated advisors. However, large corporations can be even more effective at evasion, using armies of accountants, legal teams, and international tax structures. They exploit loopholes and shift profits globally. So even though they might seem less exposed, they often evade far larger amounts. In short, both suffer, but large corporations can often be more sophisticated in their tactics.
Okay, how does tax evasion affect in the future of the younger generation?
That's really significant because tax evasion steals from the future of young people. When governments don't collect taxes, they have less to invest in education, innovation, and public services, all of which are crucial for the next generation. This means fewer resources for schools, less investment in green technology, and weaker social safety nets. Over time, this can limit their opportunities, less access to quality jobs, fewer chances for upward mobility, and it entrenches inequality, making it harder for them to thrive in the long run.
Okay, can modern technology and AI help prevent tax evasion?
Yes, definitely. Modern technology and AI can be game changers. For instance, AI algorithms can analyze vast amounts of financial data, spot unusual patterns, and flag suspicious transactions much faster than traditional methods. Digital platforms also allow for more real time reporting, and blockchain or secure ledgers can make financial flows more transparent. Of course, it still depends on how governments implement these tools, but when used effectively, they can greatly reduce opportunities for evasion.
So it is not paying tax equal to expense national responsibility.
Exactly. Not paying taxes is more than just a personal choice. It's a kind of refusal to contribute to the common good. Taxes are how we fund schools, roads, healthcare, things that benefit everyone. So by evading taxes, you're essentially shirking a duty that keeps the social fabric strong and that ensures a fairer society.
Okay. So my next question: what is change can occur and fail citizens honestly pay taxes?
That's a really hopeful question, and it's profound. If all citizens paid their taxes honestly, the government would have a much more robust revenue stream. That would mean improved infrastructure, better roads, public transit, clean water, plus more funding for education, healthcare, and social programs. Over time, this could reduce inequality, increase trust in institutions, and create a more stable, prosperous society. In short, it would be a real virtuous cycle of growth and fairness.
Okay. How is that important is the role of media and fighting tax evasion?
The role of media is absolutely vital. When media outlets investigate and expose cases of tax evasion, it shines a light on the issue and creates public pressure. Both individuals like sees the real consequences of evasion, whether it's missing schools or crumbling infrastructure, they're more likely to demand reform. So media acts like a watchdog, keeping tax evasion in the spotlight.
Okay. Does tax evasion and also we country justical and political system.
Yes, it absolutely can. When tax evasion goes unchecked, it erodes trust in the rule of law. People see that some individuals or corporations can evade justice while others can't. This breeds cynicism and weakens political stability. It can lead to a sense that the system is rigged, where power and wealth protect the elite, and that undermines democracy. In the long run, it can weaken both the justice system by making it seem arbitrary and the political system by fueling disillusionment and, in some cases, even political unrest.
Okay, so thank you, ChatGPT, and just topic related discussion. Give me more information.
You're so welcome. I'm really glad we could dive into this topic. If you ever want to explore more details, whether it's specific examples, global impacts, or solutions, I'm here. Just let me know what you need next.
Okay, thank you.
You're very welcome. I'm really glad I can help. If anything else pops into your mind later, whether it's about this topic or something new, just reach out anytime.
Just topic related discussion, and ChatGPT gave me more information, so I will have to